Hello and welcome everybody to another interview of another amazing female gentle leader. And it's Christiana Genie, and she is an amazing woman. She comes from sunny, maybe even now in winter, sunny Cyprus. I think you will tell us right. And she helps leaders set boundaries with confidence and excel in life career without guilt and fear. And this is just amazing. And this is why we will also dive today in the topic of boundaries as us business owners, but I feel that we need the boundaries in our day-to-day life as well. So let's enjoy the ride, as we said before we went live, and
Yes.
let's dive in. So, Christiana, I'm so happy you're here. Can you tell us more about what you do?
Yes, of course. It's my pleasure to be here with you too. And I look forward to this conversation. Well, during my life journey, but also the thousands of women that we work together up until now, I have came to the conclusion that if you don't find the way and strengthen yourself to set the boundaries, it's very difficult to enjoy your involvement. You might be able to do it, but with consequences, like maybe burnout or a lot of emotional stress, like holding within your emotions and not being able to express. And especially women, we need it a lot more because we never had it. I mean, if you go a few years back, like 50 years back, we never had any boundaries on anything. So it's a new thing for us. Um, so what got me here? It's actually my path got me here too. I started as a child coach. I wanted to learn how it is to be a mother so I wouldn't transfer all my wounds and stuff on my children. So I started from there. But then when I had to claim my second divorce, and I had two, it was an infant and a toddler. One of my daughters was 7 months and the other one was 2 years old. So during that period, and because it was my second marriage, it was very difficult for me to set the boundaries because I was feeling a lot of guilt about hurting everybody else with my decision. And also within me, I had this deep passion of living life otherwise, like just the way that I wanted it to be. I didn't even know what I wanted. I just knew that it wasn't that where I was at. So it took me a lot of time to get there, and I burnt out completely my body to get there because I didn't know how to do it. I had a lot of emotional weight on my shoulders, and also I didn't have a lot of support in this step. So I started realizing since then that it was vital to learn how to set the boundaries without, exhausting yourself. It comes a lot from our childhood. We're not taught to stand up for ourselves, to just feel free to say what we want and what we feel. We are always thinking about the other person. So during those difficult times, it's a lot harder to do it. And in time, from a child coach, then I was a parenting coach for many years. I ended up coaching women mostly because it all came together. It was like parenting, being a mother, and shedding that guilt, and then setting boundaries to your children and to the adults. So it kind of all led to where I am today, and I'm absolutely enjoying the process so much.
It's amazing, and I love how many parts of your story are so similar to mine because I burned out too while just searching for myself and for how can I build the life of my dreams. And yes, for me, the anxieties really helped to have the boundaries because I just had no choice, right? I was suffering if I didn't have the boundaries. But still, I think the boundaries are so connected to being egoistic, I think, right? Like if we don't say yes to everybody and to everything, and if we don't help everybody, if we don't give ourselves to our kids and our marriage and just lose ourselves in it,
Yeah.
we are bad, right? If we say
Yeah.
no to something, we might feel like the enemy, right? Because somebody from the other side, if we say no to them, they often like get angry with us, like, what do you mean no? I asked you nicely to help me, or something like that, right?
Yeah, it comes from our prototype as well. Everything that we build in life is based on something else. Even if you have an idea, you will always search for something that was created before your idea that is similar to, um, built on that. So the prototype we got, it's very toxic because our mothers and grandmothers, they were totally devoted in family. I mean, okay, my mother was working, but again, I saw a woman that was devoted to us. And I love her for that. But I also saw the negative side of it because um, we didn't get the chance to experience how it is to actually be just like you are. You are always thinking, how should I be in order to be a good mother, to be a good partner, to be a good woman? And you're always going back. And when you check with the prototype, it's very hard to follow now. I mean, you cannot do that. And when you have kids, you see it so. I mean, I feel it very strongly sometimes. And so, one of my daughters, she often says it. She says, "Oh, you're spending so much time on your stuff and you're not giving attention to us," especially when she's angry with me. She's just throwing it. At the beginning, I was feeling very guilty. And I was, believing it like, oh my God, my poor child, she doesn't have me as much as she wants to. And then in time, I started, recreating the story. And I'm like, I don't allow you to tell me where I'm going to spend my time. As your mother, I believe that I'm doing the best I can to be your mother. I'm here for you with whatever you need. I spend the time that I want to spend, and that I feel okay. I mean, if it was up to them, they want us. They want to be with us 24 hours.
100%, right? From night to day, and don't even try to move during the night.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But
I feel,
this is unhealthy for us. It's not. We cannot do this with today's circumstances, right?
and what I see, or maybe I think you will know more, so this is why I'm asking. I feel that in Europe, it might be different than in other parts of the world,
How
like
do you?
maybe Asia and something. I feel that here in Europe, we always felt, or at least here in the center of Europe, we always felt, and I see it all around me, you need to choose: be a good mom or be a business owner, follow your dreams, have a career.
Yeah,
And when
yeah,
I said no to this cultural background and just rule, I would say, I felt weird. And as you said, I had nobody to guide me.
yeah,
Because what do you mean, Polly, that you want to follow your dreams, create the businesses you want, and still you want to be a great mother, enjoy the time for your kids? I don't want to not spend the time with them, right? But as you
yeah,
said, on the other hand, I can't be just with them. For me, it wasn't an option. I always felt that I need to create something.
same.
So, yeah, right. So I was exploring how to do it and all of this, but it still comes back to the fact that it's not normal, I would say, and not so appropriate to want it all, to have boundaries, right? To
Yeah,
be successful and and happy in our lives.
yeah,
And maybe I feel that maybe in the US, they are maybe far ahead, maybe for a few decades. I have no idea. It's just a feeling. So maybe
yeah.
tell me, how do you feel about it?
Well, I don't know about the US as much, but what I see from the ladies that we talk, I believe that they still have the same. It's not easy to shed it. It's too long that it has been engraved, and it's very difficult to just step out of it. But I'll tell you what, because I had the experience to work with a lot of mothers. Some of them were entrepreneurs, some were staying at home. So what I realized it was that many mothers that did stay at home, which we consider to be the absolute mother, let's say, of the old prototype, yeah, they were so burned out and they were lost so much in the role of the mother that they didn't even have a relationship with their husband. It was like totally mother. And that is also very toxic. So it's not about being that or this. It's about accepting that some days I'm going to be more of this and some days I'm going to be more of that. And that's all right. Sometimes I have so many things to do for my business that I don't have the time to see them as much. And I do feel a little bit bad. To be honest, I don't feel very good about it. But then I will reconsider and I will say, okay, for these 3 days, 1 week, I was, engaged with this. So what am I going to do to catch up with this relationship? The same way that I would do with a partner, right? It's the same with their children. You just need to arrange something, space, time with them that you can sometimes you don't have to do anything. You just be in the same space without interacting. Still, it's fine. You're still connecting. So
It's, you know what, often people ask me, how do I get the balance? How do I balance my life in such a way like it's 50-50, if I exaggerate, right? Like 50% business, 50% family and kids and husband. And I always tell them exactly what you said now. It's not about being every day the same, but it's the disbalance is the balance. So some days I work more, other days I'm more with my children. And this is how I get the balance, right? That I allow myself to just do what is needed, do what I love, do what I want. And as you said, sometimes, exactly yesterday, I felt bad. Like I wanted to spend an entire afternoon with them, but I had some technical issues and I had to stay on my computer for 2 hours more than I wanted. So it didn't feel right, but I knew that I need to deal with it right now. It can't wait until the morning. But today, in 3 hours, I will be with them till the night. So it's completely okay, right?
Exactly. And that's the way we chose to take this path and have our own businesses. Yes, sometimes we do work more, but we do have the flexibility as well. Like if I choose one day to take the day off, yeah, I will do it. And if I choose to, like for example, a few weeks ago, one of my daughters went to running lessons. Actually, they're doing running, and it was her first one. So I wanted to be there. So I canceled my appointments. I transferred them on another day and I went because it was important for me and it was important for her as well for me, to experience that new beginning together. So I think it's more of the story that we are saying than the actual happening. If in your mind is like, oh, I should be like my grandmother. I'm no way. I'm gonna be zero in front of my grandmother. I don't cook that much. I am not so devoted as she was. And I don't even want to be like that. And you know what, Polly? Sometimes I will arrange to go with my friends for a coffee, and I'll say, "You stay with your grandmother," and they'll be because I am divorced, so my mom is helping me, thank God, a lot with that. So I will say, "You stay with your grandma with an hour," and they will say, "Ah, you're going with your friends, and you're not taking us with you," and I'm like, "Look, part of me as Christiana is a mom and also a woman. So I want you, when you grow up, to be able to request and claim this hour with your friends. So I'm going to do it so you get used to it, so you do it when you grow up. It sounds a lot to them at the point, but this is the truth. Because if I don't do it, then they will have a difficult time doing it when they become adults.
Yeah, they would feel bad to want
Yeah.
something just for them, but you are setting for them a pattern,
Yes.
something that is okay. And these are the boundaries. We are talking about motherhood and balancing, and but these are the boundaries. Sometimes when I talk about boundaries, it feels so inconcrete, right?
Yeah.
Something hard to touch, hard to understand. What are the boundaries?
Yeah.
But I think all the boundaries are exactly that, knowing what I want, when
Mm-hmm.
I want it, and being able to communicate it in such a way that the other person doesn't feel hurt, right? It just feels that you are just being in complete respect towards yourself, and you are not lying to them, for example, right? To make them feel better about
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
boundaries. And you work with leaders. So I would ask like that. We women often don't see ourselves as leaders. How is it?
Yes.
Like, what
Look,
is it, a woman leader,
I
female
will
leader?
tell you that I see many women being very effective in it. I think that it comes from motherhood as well, because parenting and leadership have a lot of things in common. I mean, if you want to guide a team, to lead a team, you have to have the same characteristics as the relationship you have with your children. If you are against them, if you're criticizing, if you're not connected, they will not cooperate as good. So I think that women have have the ability to be leaders. It's just that sometimes, because we haven't been in that position for many years, it's the saboteur coming and kicking in and telling you, you shouldn't be doing that. You're like they say the word bitch. Sometimes you're like a bitch, because of standing up for yourself and just saying this is it. But I mean, men are doing the same thing. It's fine. I mean, do it. Sometimes I tell them, it's nice to call you bitch. It means that you're doing sometimes a good job because you're setting a clear boundary. And people don't like clear boundaries sometimes because they don't want to be guided. But if you're building your connection on one side and having clear boundaries on the other side, that's the best relationship that you can have with a person. Even if it's team member, is your child, even your partner. It's connect. I'm here for you. I care for you, but also I'm very sure of what I'm doing. So I think this takes the stress out of the team. It's like taking the stress out of the children as well. Because if I'm not sure, I will wobble and they will feel it and they will push my boundaries and they will, examine if it's real or not. No, this is clear. I mean, you must have noticed when you are not sure about the boundary or you are tired and you cannot stick to it, it's hell. It's like, it's unbelievable.
They are they're experts in pushing all my buttons when when I have no energy to at least even think of the boundaries, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what the trick is, though? That always works with parents. It doesn't matter if you allow it or not every day. If in that moment you feel that you cannot support the boundary, it's better to give the allowance yourself to say yes, go and do it. And it doesn't matter if it's something that you don't usually allow. I mean, it comes instead of saying no, you will not do it, and then because you're tired, you're not sticking up to what you said. It's better to just say just do it from the beginning, so they don't push you and then you say okay.
There's no fight, right, needed to.
And also you are guiding the ship. It's not
Yeah.
them.
And
It's the
how do
same
you
with teams, by the way. I refer to children, but it's the same with
yeah,
teams.
it's
Yeah.
the same, right? So what is for you the best way to communicate something when for example, somebody asks you, could you help me with that? And you know you can't for several reasons. What do
Mhm.
you advise your clients? What are your tips to
Yeah.
how in the best way communicate something?
I think the first step we all should do when we have an inquiry is just to pause. Many people, because of the self image they have, they rush to say yes. And that is not giving us the chance to actually evaluate if we want to set a boundary or not, if we want to do what they're asking or not. So, one of the greatest tips that my clients are using successfully is I'll get back to you in 10 minutes, 1 hour in the afternoon. I will get back to you. So, in that time, you take the time to ask yourself if you really want to do it. You ask your heart, do I really want to do that? Or am I going to pressure myself? Even at work, how many people are taking on so much they cannot handle and then they're just crashing? So, no, I'm just going to stop first and ask if I can do this. Now, if you cannot do it, or if you don't want to do it, then you just have to communicate it. And many times it's easier to communicate in writing instead of verbally. Because verbally, when I come to tell you something verbally, I will have also to face your emotions, your reaction. But if I do it in text, I will give you also the time to process it a bit before you come back to me. In somehow I don't know how I did that, but my girls are doing that. We never said we were gonna communicate through writing, but when they are really really upset with me, they just take a piece of paper and they write, their anger or something, sadness towards me, and they just leave it on my bed or under my door. It depends where we are, and I reply back in writing because I noticed that if I reply back verbally, then they shut down. But if I give them the space as well to reply back in writing like they did, it seems like it's easier for them. So I will do it in writing. And then after we communicate a little bit in writing, then we can talk a lot easier. So it works the same in business because especially through email, sometimes it's a lot better to communicate formally. Words are changed, perceptions are different, but if you have it written, it's a lot easier to get to a result instead of just splashing it out and, everybody just speaks with no result.
So pause, get it
Pause.
in writing, and then maybe I would add a question. Do
Mhm.
I say a lot of context, like why am I saying no and stuff like that, or I just say I'm sorry I can't? What do you
Yes.
like?
No, we don't give a lot of excuses generally. Excuses is not a good idea, not because you don't seem sure, that's one thing, but the second thing is because you give the other person the chance to also talk more. So you're just expanding on a subject that you shouldn't expand. I mean, you don't want to do it or you cannot do it, that's it. You just say it. And the next step I would say it's accept that the other person might not like it. It's fine. They are allowed to have their feelings. Just like you have your own opinion and feelings that you don't want to do it, they are allowed to be heard, to be angry. They're allowed. So you just let that person work with their emotions. They can discuss if they want. Just stay firm and let them experience it.
And I feel that maybe this part is the hardest for us women, right?
Yeah,
Since
it
we
is.
were children, it was like if somebody's angry with us, we did something wrong. We are the bad person if somebody is angry with us.
Yeah.
And this fear, these traumas, these little or big traumas, right? They carry, and this is why we often are so afraid to say no to something. And as
Yeah.
you said before, this is why in the work environment, so many times people just say yes and carry a load that they aren't able to carry, because it's still easier than if the boss would be angry of or a team member, right?
Yeah.
So
It's not
how
only with women. It's not only with women. You know, in the corporate workshops we do, I see it with men as well. And this comes from the parenting style our parents had. For example, if a parent is using fear to guide the child, then that child will always bow in fear. So you will have these kind of behaviors, like accepting everything, say yes to everybody, because they haven't managed to face fear and accept it as normal. It's normal. I'm fearful now. I don't feel comfortable, but still I'm gonna do it. But even childhood, I had this huge anger coming towards me, and there was a lot of fear to guide me. Then it's gonna be a lot easier during that last step to stay firm. And this is where we need to work with our self-image. This is the part that we need. Even if I give you the best techniques, if somebody doesn't work on their self-image during that specific part, it's very difficult. It will cause you a lot of stress, it will cause a lot of anxiety, and it will be continuous because you don't know how to handle it. So you need to go within and see about your self-worth, how you have been guided by fear, and release all that in order to be able to claim what you want.
Yeah, you need to heal, right? Because for
Yeah.
somebody, it would be like, yeah, as you said, I'm accepting your emotions and I'm completely okay with that. But that often means it took a lot of healing to go to arrive at this point in our lives.
Yeah. Absolutely, but I mean that's that's the whole thing of life, right? To just see where you need to heal and where you need to grow, and I mean every circumstance like this is just a guide that is showing us where we need to put our attention to heal that part and to grow, so we don't allow these behaviors, because people will always step into our boundaries. Always, it's just us that we have to stay firm and keep putting boundaries. I mean, it's an ongoing process. I don't think it ever stops. Wherever you are, you will need to set some kind of boundary. It's either time, it's space, it's energy, it's any kind of boundary.
It is. And I'm so happy we could really dive deep, because boundaries, as you say, they are everywhere, anywhere, all the time. And I'm so glad that we looked at it from the parenting side and from our professional side, because these two are, I think, maybe the biggest challenging ones, right, for us.
Yeah, yeah.
Christiana, thank you so much. And my last question: where would you like to invite our listeners? And if there is something you would like to just add, what needs to be said?
Mm-hmm. Great. So first of all, I would love to invite all of you on my social media, on my Instagram. My Facebook is in Greek, so I would invite you on my Instagram, which is in English, and on LinkedIn, where you can download as well resources about setting boundaries, about creating a healthier self-image, and many, many wonderful goodies to strengthen our inner core. And finishing up, I would say that it's not easy to know how to set the boundaries because we haven't been taught. So it's something that we have to allow ourselves the time to recreate. We need to recreate, and especially as women, we need to recreate for the new generations of women. So it would be easier to just be like they were. That's how I am, and it's fine. I don't need to be anything else other than what I am in this moment. And that's it. So keep searching for it, keep reading, keep connect with me. I talk a lot about boundaries because I love the subject in all areas. So just keep asking and you will get where you want.
Ah, that's amazing. Yes, we are worth it without needing to prove it or do anything.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right? We are okay as we are. Nothing
Yeah,
else.
just as we are. I mean, why do we have to explain? it,
Right.
it is what it is. Oh, I enjoyed so much our conversation, Polly.
Me too. Thank you for being here. And yes,
Thank you for having me here.
thank you all for being here with us. And I'm looking forward for you to connect with Christiana and then for us to meet on our another episode. So don't forget to follow and maybe even reach out if there's something you took out from this episode. That would be amazing for me and Christiana too. So have an amazing day and see you soon.